Hey, Goat Knucklers. Welcome back to Goat Knuckle Talk with Flo. Of course, I am Flo. Welcome back. So, hey, when you guys go to the YouTube channel and view these videos, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Also, like the videos and leave a comment. Well, now to introduce you to my lovely co-host, Lisa Nolan Hafner.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
So, you notice this shirt I'm wearing, Lisa?
I love it. I was going to ask you about that. Where'd you get it? I want one.
Well, you're supposed to say this, not me.
I know. I'm just joking. No, really. Stand up, Michael, so everybody can get a bit. Stand up a little bit. Oh, yeah. Awesome. Okay. You too can have one of these great shirts. So, the PHS Booster Club is conducting a fundraiser.
Band Booster Club.
Yeah, I'm Band Booster Club.
Yeah.
I left out the Band Booster Club.
Huh.
Having a fundraiser. And so you can go to their Facebook page, which is 2024-2025 PHS Band Booster Inc. page. Or you can contact Dana Truitt, and I will give you some information. And that's also going to be posted on our YouTube channel and our Facebook page for this show. Her Cash App, which is $ Dana Truitt, TRUETT 01, or you can send a check directly to her at Post Office Box 687 in Plainview 79073. Again, we're going to post this on both of our channels, the YouTube channel and our Facebook page. But really, let's everybody support the band boosters and get yourself this super cool Christmas t-shirt that you can have for years to come.
There you go. Okay. So who's our lovely guest tonight?
Oh, I'm excited about this show tonight. We have 4 super cool dudes. Jess Barrera, Keith Bell, Ray Hughes, and Wes Nairn. So I'm going to go around and thank you for joining us tonight. And so I'm going to start with you, Jess. What class did you graduate and where are you living?
Graduated class of '82 and still living in Plainview.
Awesome. Ray, I know you've been on the show before, but some viewers may see this show that didn't see it before.
Graduated '81. I'm living in Shallowater.
Awesome. Wes?
I'm the old one, so I graduated in 1980, and I live in Round Rock, Texas.
Oh, nice.
You're my neighbor.
Yeah.
Kind of. I'm in Dallas. I know you're a couple hours away.
Yeah, you're you're 3.5 hours away. So.
I'm closer to him, Lisa. So.
83 and then living in Lubbock.
Yes, 83. So I'm 83, live in Hempstead, which is 15 miles northwest of Houston, probably hour and a half from Round Rock. So Lisa, what about you?
83, and I live in Dallas, right in Dallas proper.
Cool.
20 years now.
So gentlemen, again, welcome the drum majors of Plainview High School Band. So I don't recall if it was our 5th grade or 6th grade year when they gave us an option or a choice to either be in band or a choir. Do you guys remember what grade? Or, well, I guess it doesn't really matter, but whenever we're given that choice, Jesse, why did you? Oh no, you were in both.
Yeah,
you were both band and choir.
Yep. Yeah, through all the way. Well, I was in band starting in 6th grade. And then when we got into high school is when we had I think it was high school, maybe in 8th grade, but I think it was high school. We had, we could also be in choir. And yeah, I was in choir and band all 4 years of high school.
Oh, wow.
So before high school, though, it was either or, right? You could do either or until you got to high school?
I'm not sure it was, yeah, that may be true, but I guess I wasn't interested in choir until I got into high school.
Well, I did choir in the 8th grade and band both at Chicago.
Okay. I wasn't in either, so I don't know. That's why I was asking that question.
Yeah, I never did choir in middle school, but I was in a cappella and in band in high school though.
I never
Cool.
did choir. I did chamber singers for a semester.
But you played an instrument, didn't you? Or did
Yeah.
what did you play?
Electric guitar.
Oh, do you still play it?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Trying to make something too. And then yeah, we started band in 6th grade. Mr.
Yeah.
Giddens.
Yep.
Yeah, Mr. Gibbs with the big old caterpillar eyebrows.
Yeah.
So Keith, why you're only in band? Why did you why didn't you do choir? Or if I'm asking.
Do what now?
You didn't you weren't in, were you in choir?
I was
Or,
in choir through the 8th grade. Then when 6th grade, I mean, we all started band in 6th grade I was with Willis Giddens. And then when we hit high school, I did band and ag.
oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, what was the interest in the band, guys? I mean, why Wes, why did you want to join band?
Well, I think, in junior high, I remember I guess in 6th grade, they did you try out or something for a band, and they gave you the band directors, so it was like Larry Burks, Willis Giddens, but Larry Burks was so Willett back in that day, Estacada and Coronado were split, right? So Willis was at Coronado, and Larry Burks was at Estacada. And so I remember Larry Burks coming out, saying, "Hey, you need to play trombone." So I ended up playing trombone, and then in junior high, I was horrible. Y'all, I was a horrible player, and I was not good. I will say that it was I guess the year before I started high school that I went to Texas Tech band camp, and that's where I don't know, something clicked in me that's what I wanted to do. And so I was fortunate enough to, when I came into high school, that was back. You guys don't remember this because this was before y'all, but we had a freshman band.
Yeah.
When I was first in high school. So in order for someone to get into the varsity band, you had to be, OT had to really like you or something like that. But I was in the freshman band when I started, and I loved it. And that's where I first became drum major, was in the freshman band.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Did you
Yeah, I
try?
forgot about that.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Lisa.
No, I was going to ask because this is one of the questions. Did you try out for drum major?
I guess I did. I don't remember. So Roger Edwards was the band director with OT at the high school, and he was the freshman band director. And Roger Edwards, by the way, he is now, of course, retired. He's a bigwig with the music service region, or was up in the Panhandle out of Amarillo, and he kind of took me under his wing, and I just think the world of Roger Edwards. I don't remember auditioning or trying out. I think he just said, "Hey, Naren, do you want to do this?" And I thought, sure. So when my freshman year ended and we get into high school, Claude Lusk, Dewey was the drum major at that time. And so I remember one day OT saying, we were all in band. He said, "Who wants to try out for drum major?" And I, waved my hand and I said yes. And so if you guys remember, the bands were huge. I mean, the Plainview bands were always big. And so I got up and had an audition or whatever. And so that was my first year. So it was my sophomore year that I actually got to be a drum major for the Plainview band after the freshman year. And, it was a wonderful experience for me, because I remember that first year that I was drum major, we played Permian in the playoffs at Jones Stadium in Lubbock.
When it was like
And
2 degrees.
Yeah, it was a very oh God, it was cold. And I have to tell you though, you guys remember the hand warmers we used to have? So I don't know if you remember those. They you filled them with like, I don't know, lighter fluid or kerosene or
Oh,
whatever,
shit.
and then you would light them, and then they were metal, and then
Yeah.
you'd put them in these bags, right? These like cloth bags. Well, in I will never forget the Permian game because there was a hole in one of my right pocket in my drum major uniform, and for some reason that hand warmer got out of that cloth bag and ended up going through that hole right on my right. You know what I'm saying? And and I'm sitting there directing, and I can't do anything about it because OT would yell at me, you know,
Yeah.
if I did something wrong. And that thing was burning the living daylights. I'm surprised I have kids to this day because of that.
So you didn't need a whistle. You just really high pitch.
No, it was burning, and I somehow, you know, was able to meander around and stop it from singeing my nuts to death. I'm sorry, but anyway,
Oh,
but yeah, it was something else. And then so it was me. At one point, it ended up being me and Ray, and so my good buddy Ray, and my tech roommate. And by the way, y'all don't know this. Ray was in the band at the Musical Texas. By the way,
Oh,
he
nice.
played guitar at the Musical Texas.
Yeah.
In Palo Duro, correct?
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you were a 3-year drum major?
I was a 3-year drum major. Ray was there. Was it my last year, Ray, or the net? Were you with me junior and senior year, or?
I was there in my junior and senior year.
Okay, so you were
I
there
thought you
my
were
senior
just there
year.
junior and senior too.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was. You know, let's see, freshman, sophomore. No, I don't remember. I'm old. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I started out with Claude Lusk, and then was there ever, you know, from that. But
Yeah.
lots of wonderful, fond memories of that place, and of course OT, and all the fun stuff that we had and did. It was just a really wonderful experience.
Yeah.
Uh, why did Mr. Burks ask you to play a trombone? Was
I don't know. I guess he just got a mouthpiece out and said, "Here, blow on this." So
All
it
right.
all
Hey,
worked out.
That sounds more like a
yeah.
molestation story.
Probably, yeah. But you know what, Larry? It's funny because you know Larry Burks is still alive and
Yeah.
doing real well. I mean, he's up in the Dallas area, and I've not talked to him. I've messaged him a few times and stuff on Facebook and stuff, and he seems real great. But Larry Burks was always I looked up to him like a father, I guess. You know, I mean, OT was like El Supremo, right?
Yeah.
OT was like number one.
Yeah.
And you had people like Larry Burks and Ron Burtis, who we call Coach. J.W. King, of course, came along in my junior and senior year in high school. And you probably guys don't realize it, but in the band world, J.W. King, O.T. Ryan, Larry Burks, all these people were like heroes in the state of Texas. And
Yeah.
I can't tell you how fortunate it was for me to be around those gentlemen and to be around you guys too, because I remember all of you. I mean, Ray and I were best buds, and we hung out all the time. Jesse was the troublemaker, you know, and
With
he
his
was the young.
twin, John Wright.
Yeah, with John Wright, he was the
Yeah.
young buck, and yeah, Jesse and John. That's some stories there.
Yeah.
And then you got Keith down there at the bottom, and Keith and I hung out when we were at Tech together. Keith and I, do you remember all those things we did, Keith? Surely you do. You taught me into more stuff than I needed to do, Keith.
Keith, your reply? Respond?
No reply.
no comment.
Well,
But see,
Keith.
that's interesting. Hang on a second, because if I don't ask this now, I'm going to forget. And this is a question to all of you, so whoever wants to answer, because you brought up something about these secondary band directors. do y'all feel like, I mean, like you said, you know, OT was El Supremo. There was respect and also a combination of respect, reverence, and fear for OT.
Yeah, I
On a
think
different level,
Yeah.
but my question is, do y'all feel that all these secondary band directors really were a positive buffer between
Oh.
y'all and OT?
absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I mean, you had, and we picked on him too. Like, you know, when J.W. King was there, we called him Fred Flintstone because he really honestly looked like Fred Flintstone. But I mean, JW and I remained friends even after I got married and did some things for him throughout the years. These people were, when I look back on my life in high school, and I look back on these directors and all of you too, I just feel blessed and lucky because I don't think you see that now. I mean, I still teach. I'm a high school teacher and an administrator and stuff like that, and I'm around the band kids and stuff like that. But it's different now than it was then. I mean, back then, you know, I don't know if any of you ever got a Mickey Mouse, but that was an OT thing. You would get a lick for every letter in the word Mickey and mouse. And I mean, I just so many things that were such a positive influence on my life, and I know the lives of the guys here, about what that meant to be with that group of people. So I look back on that time in awe of all those people, the secondary guys. You know, I mean, OT was OT, and and that was a great experience.
Wonderful.
Well, Jesse, so I was gonna say, Jesse, you played trumpet as well, right? With John, you played trumpet.
I started out on the cornet in 6th grade, and then I can't remember if it was 8th grade that I think Larry Burks switched me to baritone,
Yeah.
and so, but it really, you know, and I wasn't that concerned with it because, you know, I started out drum major in 8th grade, and then I was a freshman band drum major in 9th, and then I was 3 years drum major after that. So the only thing that I was concerned with was playing the baritone and symphonic, and which, you know, after a while I got used to it, no big deal. I couldn't play the trumpet anymore because my lips just weren't suited to it. So I adapted to the baritone. It was just a kind of a little cumbersome to haul around. It wasn't easy to transport or to practice with or anything like that. But I didn't put. I mean, I like first chair, and me and Steve Curry were always fighting for first chair, second chair, and sometimes Richard Herrera. He started out in 6th grade band with me, and he started on the cornet, but he ended up, I think, also on the baritone. So there was either 3 or 4 of us. So, you know, if you said you were third chair, you were last chair, but it didn't make a difference. You know, we had a, you know, everybody. This one of the things that I really like about this our 4 or 5 years span of classes in high school. We all got along. Uh, we know each other. I still see people today. I had yesterday in training. I saw Leslie Hackett, Leslie Higdon. Hadn't seen her in 20 years, and she popped up in my training as one of the nurses that was doing some of the training. So it was nice to visit. But you know, being here in Plainview, you still get to see a few folks, and you get to go back and think we were in band together, and that's usually what it was. It wasn't, well, I remember you from English, but it was like we were in band together. So it played a huge part in my life, and you really you don't realize it until later how big it was, and the friendships that you make. And gosh, I remember going to practice outside of our regular practice times with Wes, with Ray out on the parking lot at the Bulldog Stadium, and then with Keith also, you know, having to do our separate practices. So it was challenging, not just because of what it entailed, having to be a musician and having to be a director and having to have the respect of all your classmates and the people in the band so that they would pay attention and follow your lead. But I had good. I knew D. Claude before because he was friends with my sister Jane, and so all of you guys I took lead from. I learned from, and I respected you guys. But it was also fun to hang out with you guys too.
You remember when we practiced for the goose step we were going to throw on OT?
I remember having to
that
get
got-
ready to. You remember when we had to go and invent a salute for
Yeah.
state competition?
Yeah.
Yeah, we were out there before daylight in the parking lot of the Bulldog Stadium, coming up with when the judges say, "Are you ready?" You had to
Yeah.
come up with a salute, and we worked on that. And of course, I've forgotten it now, but it was cool. It was cool. I remember
It's
doing
too
it.
too bad we didn't have YouTube back then.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember? And I don't know how many of you were in band then, but I guess it was 77, 78 when Coach Sherwood came.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget that
As my son
practice.
here.
I'll never forget that practice at Bulldog Stadium the night before contest. And we were out there practicing with OT, and all of a sudden the entire football team comes out of the locker rooms, and they had their helmets and their jerseys on. And we were like, what the hell, because at that point, back then we were still leery of the football team, and band were kind of whatever, band weirdos or whatever. And so the football team comes out, and I remember correctly, they surrounded, I guess, the field where we were at, and they laid their helmets down or something. I think that was right. And then they got up in the stands and they gave us a pep rally. And
Yeah.
I will never forget that as long as I live. And I remember the days before. Ray can tell you this too, and I'm sure Jess and Keith as well. But I remember the days that on Fridays before a football game, Greg Sherwood would come out and talk to the band, and those kind of things. I mean, I tear up when I think about it, because these were giants in the world to me. And I mean, even today, and of course, I apologize, but my oldest son is the head football coach in Hereford, an athletic director there. So he kind of went to the dark side, but that's okay, because we support him. But I remember about Coach Sherwood, of what he meant to all of us, and I think that it was a combination of people like OT and Burks and Willis Giddens, who I adored, and people like Coach Sherwood, Coach Tomlin. God, I remember all these people that were such a huge influence in my life and the lives of these gentlemen right here, and yours as well. We were blessed, guys, and I'm going to have to leave here in a minute, but I will tell you this right quick. We were so blessed to be around each other and friends. We were so blessed to be in the school that we were in. We were blessed to be with the teachers that we were. Kids are different now. You guys know this. But at the same time, the friendship that we made, the bonds that we made. I mean, I don't know what bus did you ride, Jesse? Because I rode bus 4. I think Ray rode bus 4 too. That was the wild bus. I don't know if you remember that or not, but I remember the buses. We had names for them. So
My last couple years, I rode 4.
that's right. Yeah, the wild bus, you got to sit in the back. So I'd be back there with like John Nance. I don't know who remember John Nance.
Yeah, sure do.
John Mance, Kevin Fleming, or was Kevin? Kevin wasn't in band, was he, Ray? I don't think he was.
No, I don't think so.
But John Nance was. All those people were,
Yeah.
and like Mark Nix and all those guys,
Oh gosh.
Yeah, and so, but it was an honor to be with
Amazing
that
how
group.
many of them became preachers.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Well, hey, whatever it takes.
Well,
But
Johnny Turpin played both football and he was in band, correct?
yeah,
Yep.
he
Yeah,
Class
was.
of 80.
He
Yeah,
didn't-
Johnny had a unique gift. I don't know if you've talked to him or not, but Johnny could whistle through his nose. And so we would be in rehearsal in band, and you would hear this like, and it was Johnny, and he could do that through his nose. And OT would look at me. No, Johnny, he would look at Johnny, and Johnny would say, Naren, I think it was, or OT, I think it was Naren. And I wouldn't do anything. I didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
And OT would just like scream at me and like chew me out for that. And I was like, it wasn't me. And it's like, and Johnny would be like, don't listen to him. He's lying. So
Oh shit.
Sounds like Turp.
that's funny.
Well, what about you, Keith? Why did you become a drum major? And were you what instrument did you play?
Well, I first met OT. He became band director at high school in '64, I think. And I met him in the late '60s because I had an uncle that was in band. And so I ended up being in band. I had two uncles that played the same alto saxophone. And so by the time I got to sixth grade, I got the hand-me-down alto saxophone, and that was with Willis. And in the seventh grade, he switched me to tenor.
Yeah.
But I met OT in the '60s, and then just because of family. So our
Yeah.
family had been in the band for a long time. And so then I played tenor from then on out. And in terms of how I ended up drum major, I grew up across the street from Claude, literally across the street from Claude.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't remember trying out. I probably did, but I think it was more of a thing that OT told me what I was going to be doing.
yeah.
And so that's where I ended up, and how I ended up with Jess. So it was Jess and I a year, and then
Julie
was with me.
Julie
my
Watson.
year.
Yeah.
I guess
Yeah, I was
the only
Jesse
one
and I
had
were
to
the
try.
last. Jesse and I were the last ones to wear the big giant wool uniforms with the Grand Poobah hat.
Shake
And
those.
then Julie and I were the first ones to wear the pirate shirts. So
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. That's one of my what whose decision was OT's?
that was
or
OT. That's when we went from that's when they were making that transition over to core style.
Core style,
And
yeah.
most of those, that was the outfit they were wearing. So yeah, Jesse and I were the last ones to wear the big wool with the cape.
had to be much
Yeah.
cooler,
Oh, yeah,
not restricted.
they were. It was, but looking back, that's a fashion statement I could do without.
Yeah.
The pirate
So-
one?
Pardon me?
Which one? The pirate one?
Oh, yes, I would much rather have been in the Grand Poobah hat than the pirate.
So I guess he didn't like that picture I put on Facebook with you. with
It's
the
not my favorite, no.
Wait,
all right.
real quick, I want to talk about Julie. I was hoping she'll be on the show, but that's okay. She was the first female drum major, correct?
I think
And
so.
do you know if any background on how she got the gig, or there were other females trying out as well, or did OT go to Julie directly? I mean, I know it's over 40 years ago, but do you recall, Keith?
I don't remember. I
Okay.
really don't.
Julie who?
Watson.
Julie
Julie
Watson.
Watson.
Yeah, she was class of 84.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah, so yeah, she was the first female and she did very well.
Yeah.
So well, Ray, what about you, man? What remind us what instrument you played and why, and why'd you become a drum major?
I played French horn, but it was because I was so bad at trombone. Burks finally relented and say, well, maybe you can play something. And he let me switch to French horn.
Isn't that worse? Isn't it
me,
harder
it
to
was.
learn?
Well, I had short arms.
Oh,
and
okay.
that trombone was a killer. And so I moved to French horn, and it was just awkward carrying that thing around. It looked like a weird amoeba. And we would I really enjoyed French horn. It was, and I moved up fairly quickly from last year to into first and second. When I was sophomore and a junior, I played, and we had Lee Bryan and Linda Elder. Oh my gosh, they could make a French horn really sing. And then when I was a senior, it was me and Ann Rice that were first and second. And Ann could catch my slack. She was really good. But when I was in 8th grade, they said, we're going to have drum major tryouts. And I'm like, really? What's that? And I kind of got caught up in it. I didn't make it. It was, her last name was Owens. I can't remember. And Evan Kramer that they picked. But when I was in varsity, I tried out in my junior year and became drum major with Wes, and enjoyed it immensely. You know, it, of course, stage band was one of my big things while I was in band. It probably kept me interested in the whole aspect of music. And Larry Burks was everything as far as band directors go. He was a lot of influence. Kittens he was okay, but Larry Burks, he was like an uncle. He wouldn't stop at getting on to you, but he was real friendly, and he really liked being there for you. So I enjoyed him.
Oh, good. Wes, before you take off, can you tell us any shenanigans you from your advantage
Oh
point?
yeah. So, well, first of
Maybe I should
all,
take off.
so yeah, first of all, so again, I said I was talking about the people that we were that the leaders, the directors, or whatever, and I was in acapella too with Steve Garms, and Mr. Garms was
Oh yeah.
he was a god to me as well, and tragically he passed away last year after I
Oh
think
yeah.
he had dementia real bad, and but it's amazing the kind of impact that all these people have in your life. But I will tell you, so I remember a band trip we went to the Executive Keys in Port Aransas, right? I think that's right.
Yeah.
And OT didn't trust me. And so it was me, John Nance. I don't remember Ray. I don't know if you were with us or not. Executive Key was it? We were playing poker in the room that we were in, and
Yeah.
OT put bottles outside our door, so that if we open the door, it would knock those bottles off, and
Yeah.
we get our ass in trouble. And so, but that was say that. I mean, that was typical. I mean, I think it was a healthy amount of fun that we all had because we all
Yeah.
did that. We all screwed around and pushed it. But when push came to shove, we were Plainview Bulldogs.
Yeah.
And
We lined up.
yeah, we lined up and we did what we were told to do, and we had the respect. Like I don't ever remember somebody back talking any of these directors. If they did, they probably died some horrible death or something.
Yeah.
But I will say, and I will say this, and other thing about you guys too. And I've watched like Jesse. I've watched Jesse's like y'all don't realize what kind of guy Jesse is. He's like top dog,
Yeah.
detective, all that kind of stuff. This man's done it all. Ray is an accomplished guitar player. Look at the business acumen that Keith has. All of you guys have been huge impacts, but I think it wasn't just because of how we grew up. I think it was just because of the people that we were around.
Yeah.
And I think the people that influenced us and made us who we are today. And I'm blessed now. I have 4 kids and 8 grandkids, and by the way, I'm 63, so I'm the oldest one on this freaking thing. All you young
Oh,
people.
I knew.
Um,
I knew.
but I mean, I will tell you this. So Ray and I, when we went to Tech, Ray and I, we lived in an apartment at one point, and Ray made some kind of god awful hot tamale. I don't know what the hell those things, burritos. Jesus, God in heaven, those things were like 900 degrees or something. And I didn't want Ray to be upset with me for not eating them, so I just ate them and shut up. My face was like beet red the entire time, but
So probably remind you of your nuts being on fire.
oh yeah, exactly. It reminded me of that horrible experience. But hey guys, I've got to bounce, but I just want you to know what a huge influence you guys have all been on my life. And I love each and
Merry
every one of
Christmas.
you. I love each and every one of you, and I enjoy seeing all the stuff about your lives and your kids and your family. I appreciate you, Michael, for all that you do and bringing this to the people, because I think I don't want to forget, we don't want to forget where we came from and who influenced us. I know Lisa, as involved as she was in everything in high school. But we were blessed, and I was blessed to know you guys.
Thank you, Wes.
Likewise.
Likewise.
Have a Merry
Yeah.
Christmas.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Ray.
Happy
Good to
holidays,
see you,
man.
brother.
So, Wes mentioned coach of another band director. Well, got to give props to Keith Bell. There was another coach that was a band director, and he was on an earlier show, Mr. Killian. And I asked him, I said,
Oh,
who gave you that nickname? And I'm gonna say, I guess I said, was it John Wright? He goes, nope. Who was it, Keith?
It was me.
Yeah.
When OT had hired, or when the school had hired Jerry to come down, it was just before the band carnival, and
yeah.
I was actually probably, if not the first, one of the first people to meet Jerry. OT introduced me, and that's just where it came from. And long story short, I ended up, he and I were partners in an airplane for a few years. He and Christy, they still live here in Lubbock. I see them on a fairly regular basis. Actually, Willis Giddens went to church with me also. I sang in the choir with Willis for a while till he passed, and then Coach and I, like I said, partners in airplanes. He ended up in the insurance business. He sold me insurance, so it's just they're a great family, and it's really neat to get to know Christy's brother Greg and know their whole family. And so, but yeah, he just looked like a coach to me, and so I started calling him that at the band carnival and introduced him to everybody as coach, and it stuck.
So what was there a particular incident though that made you call him coach? I mean,
No, he just looked like a coach to me, and I just started calling him coach.
just out of
I mean, it was literally, it was before school started or anything. It was just at the band carnival. That was in the middle of the summer or August, whenever it was. And OT introduced me, and I thought, he looks like a coach, and I just started calling him coach. And then everybody I introduced him to at the band carnival and then on out,
Yeah.
I just said, this is coach. And I guess that's how it stuck.
He started our junior year, Keith?
Pardon me?
Was it our junior
I think he
year?
started our sophomore year.
Sophomore? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And going back to JW,
Yeah.
I mean, I know JW was in the twilight of his career by the time he came to us, but if you really go back and look at what an influence he had on music, the band hall at Hell Center, their band hall, their fine arts center is named in honor of J.W. King.
Good.
At the school over there.
He did our sectionals for all the French horns because he was a French horn player.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing about it, when you went to solo and ensemble contest, all you had to do is show up with his wife as your accompanist. And yeah, I got a one. I thought I sounded like crap. But him and her, they were both so well respected. And he was a nice guy. It really was.
So yeah, I was really shocked that he said that you would you gave him the nickname. I'm like, oh, good for Keith. That's good. The one thing that I would eventually want to do is find some real old people, older, because I like to hear about Chief, because he was there in Plainview for a very long time as well, wasn't he?
Yeah, till 64. That's when OT took over.
And I don't even know what his real name is. I just know him as Chief.
Chief Davidson.
Chief.
I don't know if anybody knows his real name.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you'd have to look for people in their late 70s.
Yeah.
Because I know my parents graduated where they went to high school in 60, and they're 82 this year.
Yeah.
So you better start looking.
Yeah. So Jesse, all right, Wes didn't really touch on this, but being up there on that top ladder, I mean, you're like 6'1" anyway. I mean, it puts you at over 8 feet tall. I mean, you had to see some crazy shit out there.
It was a vantage point, definitely, and you had to look down, which kind of made it hard to hold that hat up when you were looking down. And I mean, as your shoulders moved and you were bouncing kind of up and down, directing the band, you really had to concentrate on keeping that hat from moving from side to side. Or if it was windy, it was a challenge. But yeah, you could see people messing up, and that's why OT and Larry and Coach, whenever they got up in the crow's nest to look down, you could spot somebody half a step off in a line. And as good as the bands were, the better you are, the easier it is to spot the error.
Yeah.
But Keith and I, or Ray and I, that wasn't our place to say anything about it, but we knew when we saw it, OT was fixing to say something.
Yeah. Well, when I was a sophomore, when I was first in varsity band, we were marching to Grandioso, floating PHS. I don't know if y'all remember that.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really important to hit that line with the ball of your foot. And I guess I was hitting it with the front part of my instep. And OT came up behind me. First, he was screaming through the megaphone. That megaphone of his, oh my gosh. He was screaming at me through the megaphone, and he just ran back and kicked me in the ass.
Oh, shit.
And there were 2 or 3 girls, Jesse's older sister, she was like, that was just uncalled for. And Lori Zeleny, and I can't remember who, and I said, it's just the thing. Don't worry about it.
Just let it go. Let it go. Let it go.
Let it go. I don't want any more prep for this. But
what about you, Keith? Did you see any crazy stuff, either practice or during the game?
Well, like I said, it depended. One of the stories that I'll talk to that addresses Jess and I, especially with that last uniform. But Yeah, when you're up on that ladder, yeah, you would see people that would be out of spot or flag. You could always see the flags and rifles dropping their stuff.
Yeah.
The twirlers were always up almost too close. You couldn't see them, but yes, you had a vantage point of the whole field. And yes,
Yeah.
there were times that after things, it was that deal that during the first football games, you might go talk to them if OT missed it or whatever. But by the time it was getting time to contest time, there were times you'd go tell people, hey, you need to get your act together. Or
Yeah.
we always had some people on the sidelines to fill in. And you remember we had everybody on the field, and then there were some extras.
Alternate.
And every once in a while, if you weren't cutting the mustard, you would get replaced. Maybe by another play that wasn't playing, but by golly, they could step a yard at a time and land in the right spot.
Yeah.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe OT and them watched the film over the weekend because if I remember, Monday mornings is when he would show the film and call you out if you made a mistake. Am I correct?
Yep.
And then were you guys involved in with them watching film or no?
I was.
I think we saw it at the same time y'all did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or everybody did on Monday.
Yeah.
Did y'all?
Go ahead, Lisa.
No, I was going to say, did y'all ever witness any shenanigans? Like maybe seniors, their last game, or no,
like John, right?
Well, there was a few things that happened, but not
Purposely.
I think probably 99%, I'd even say 100% of the members of the band, when it came time to perform, we took it seriously. We had to perform on Friday nights, and our Friday nights manifested into what we were going to do at state.
Yeah.
And so everything was to get ready for state. And we were going to state. Everybody knew that. We always go to state. We always went to state, and we always got a 1. And so when it came to it, we knew the pressure was coming, and we knew not to mess around. There was a great sense of nervousness, of pressure, that we had to perform. And you don't know. You do know, when they said up in the stands, when you were waiting at the stands at Tech Stadium, and they said, Plainview, Texas, Division I, man, that was the whole season just came off your shoulders.
Yeah.
So when you say shenanigans, there were some things that were done kind of because of some stupid things that we did on our own, like showing up after we consuming some beverages.
Yeah.
We got a little out of hand, so we ended up going to band a little tipsy. And so there was a couple of things that were funny, and because we made those mistakes. I almost fell off my ladder. John couldn't hit that one particular note in what was that Spanish song?
Spanish song?
Yeah.
It's where you were in there. It's the flags.
The flags circled him, and then they opened up, and then he was doing the solo.
Yeah.
God, I can't remember. But anyway, he had kind of had a hard time hitting that high note because I think his lips were a little numb. And I got to laughing. And then when I got to laughing, because I was a little numb, I almost fell off my ladder. So yeah, those were dumb things that we did and shouldn't have done. But we the majority of the time we knew we had work to do, and we knew we had to get it right.
Well, I think it was pride. I mean, one of the things when Wes is talking about Coach Sherwood and what he did, with the pep rally and all that, is that he really brought a level of respect to the band that then was contagious. So, football players respected the band. So then all your classmates respected the band. And then you guys were winning, state. And so, he elevated the band and how we perceived how everybody
Well,
respected the band.
until Sherwood, the band was a bigger deal than football. I mean, literally back during the 60s,
Yeah. But he
people
brought
would
the
come to
band
the
to
football games to watch the band, and then they go home at third quarter. So, you know, there was quite a bit of you know, there was quite a bit of, you know, good good things about being in band, but he really reinforced it in an age when it was starting to slide as far as
Right.
the way everybody else viewed us.
Right. So, well, I was going to ask, did you guys have any special training? Yeah, like, they have these band summer camps. That they have anything for Keith? That they have anything for you guys?
I don't remember anything, but that's just me. Just man.
I remember that they did have the camps for drum majors, but none of us ever went. I don't guess. I didn't.
I went,
Okay.
me and Wes went to TAC.
Okay.
And
But was it for drum majors, or was it just a
Yeah.
band camp?
they had drum major classes too.
Okay.
I guess Jess and I were just
But-
good enough. We didn't need it.
Yeah.
They-
Hey, I was the only one under 6 foot for years.
Yeah.
I was the shorty. And now we went to band camp because Wes kept saying, "You go to band camp, you go to band camp." And so I did. And it was all about drum corps. And it was really poorly laid out. It wasn't a very good class. But, you know, I attended and everything, but it was not what I was expecting. Of course, we were, you know, Plainview didn't take up drum corps as quick as some schools did. I know we were watching drum corps tapes back when I was a sophomore.
Yeah.
You know, we'd watch the DCI,
Mhm.
and man, we thought most people thought that was so cool, you know, because they were doing designs that, I mean, they didn't depend on the yard marker. They didn't depend on things like that. They were just, you know, marching in a world of their own compared to us. You know, it wasn't that long before I was in school that they went to doing 8 to 5, you know, and because before that it was all 6 to 5 marching.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it was like the Aggies.
Yeah. Absolutely. All you three were like second drum majors. What was the responsibility like when Ray was the head drum major and Jesse you're second, and vice, same thing with Keith and Jesse. I mean, what was the responsibility of the DM2?
Really just to make sure that that I supported Ray in his decisions,
Yeah.
whatever shots he called, whatever we were going to do. That's what, I followed his lead. If he said, "Hey, let's situate our ladders like this, you here and me here, and see if that works better." And, I said, "Great, let's do it." And then he decided whether it worked better or not. And so my role as drum major 2 was simply to support his decisions and his ideas.
Right. And then the big thing especially during performance, was to follow his tempo.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because if you're the second guy and you're at a different tempo than the lead guy, with that many people spread out across that many yards,
Yeah.
it can turn into a train wreck in a hurry. So
That's true.
you spent most of the time one eye on the senior and the other eye on the field, but it was Your job was to follow number one's lead.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then
Yeah.
facing facing you guys, number one was always on the right, correct? And number
Yes.
two is on the left, facing you
Yeah.
guys.
That's
Yeah.
right. I don't know.
And then did you guys split the field in two? Like, of course, Jesse, you look to your left, and Keith, or right, you look to your right. Did y'all split that, or is just common sense to do that?
50's the end zone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever north of the 50-yard marker I was, he was the exact same yardage south of the 50-yard marker.
Okay.
But the thing was that the sound was slower with a band that big. So, and Keith is exactly right. Whenever you had to match his tempo exactly, if you wanted the sound to be the same from one end zone to the other, because that's 100 yards and sound travels a lot slower than your vision. So that was a key component to making the band sound like one unit.
Well, when I was a junior with Wes, when he was a senior, that's when we had all 4 classes in the band.
Yeah, it was our freshman year when we were allowed. We were the first freshmen to be in the
And it
marching
was,
band.
and it was massive. It was almost as big as Tech or Monterey back when Monterey had big bands. And I mean, we had 240 on the field.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, there was no comparing it to anything we'd done before. And then the next year, we only had like 96 on the field. So we went to state that year.
See, and I think that's my opinion. I keep telling people that I think that's one of the reasons why we went to state, because everyone had a year experience, especially us freshmen. We didn't have another class coming in that never marched, and we were experienced, and I think that's why we did so well. Do you guys agree?
Yeah, we marched at a competition when I was an 8th grader, and we marched as freshmen when I was in high school. But it really made a difference having that year of experience with the freshmen in varsity. And I kind of always wished he'd have always done it, but they didn't.
It sure was cool pulling up somewhere with 5 to 7 greyhounds.
Yeah.
That was boy, people would say, "Oh, here's Plainview." And it took 10 minutes, just to get the buses lined up before, 200-300 of us got out of the bus, and it was a sight to see. It was very cool. I really enjoyed that part of it.
That's cool.
And marching like in the Buccaneer days or something, we were just this wall of sound walking down the street.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure that was really intimidating to other bands, but I want to ask a question. Not being a band person myself, I find what you're sharing is really fascinating to me in terms of the level of responsibility for such young people. That's a big deal, and you need to know that's a big deal. I mean, from my perspective, that's a big deal what you guys did. So my question is, was it more fun or more stressful, or an equal balance of both? So I want all 3 of you to answer. So I'm going to start with Keith.
Well, it was as fun as OT would let it be. I mean, during the week, during practice, it was a little more relaxed. But Friday night, and again, the closer you got to contest, you took it very seriously. I mean, I remember when we were freshmen, and the first time we marched again with the whole group, and we were marching at Tech, and basically we were just threatened with our lives. Don't you screw this up. We've been doing it right for 40 years. Y'all better not screw it up. And
Yeah.
so, and when you move from just being out there on the field to up there, and now I'm in charge of these people for this 7 to 10 minutes.
Yeah.
There was pressure there not to screw it up.
Yeah.
Jesse?
So yes, I mean, but it was good. I mean, it taught us a lot.
Yeah.
I'm hearing it was a good kind of stress.
It
Pardon
was,
me?
It was a good kind of stress.
Yes.
Okay.
yeah, it was,
I'll take that.
it was, I don't, there was a lot of nerves, in preparation for this. And then, man, I'll tell you what, walking through that tunnel and
Yeah.
saying, okay, this is it. And you're trying to breathe and thinking, I don't remember anything. Well, once you got on that field and you looked at everyone and it wasn't any different than what you saw, at Bulldog Stadium,
Yeah.
everything started to come back and everything started clicking. And then, all your training comes into light, and you're able to perform you're even though you're nervous as anything, because everything is on the line with you.
Yeah.
And every person on that field felt that about themselves. This is all on me. And that's what made it work, because of what OT and the other band directors, what they had drilled into our minds, what they had trained us over and over and over through repetition to who told you were so good, to make you snap out of it, get out of yourself, get over yourself. This is a big cooperation that takes hundreds of kids to pull it off together. And there was a lot of discipline involved. And sometimes I'd be surprised at how stiff and stern I could be within myself to make it work. And it was just, I mean, it was a phenomenal feeling. It was. And you really, during those days at school, you really, once it was over and everything, you go back to class, and you go back to horsing around and having fun and all that. And you didn't think about it, because I mean, that was our kids' mindset. But thinking about it now, wow, what a challenge.
Yeah.
What a thing to take on at that age. And then, of course, me, I know I had a reputation of a hellraiser and, a rebellious guy. And, a lot of times OT and I didn't see eye to eye, or,
Well, you
we
were 6 inches taller than he was. So,
and that's one of the things I remember having to try out for band, and he would make me do it. He would find somebody, and it was usually this other kid that he would talk into trying out, just to give me grief, or make me do it, make me work for my spot. It wasn't going to be given to me just because I was 6 foot. I had competition, and I sweated that, and I ended up of course making it. But man, he had his ways, and I understood that. I understood that this man should be respected, because he deserved that respect. He was a genius when it came to orchestrating, not just the entirety of the thing, but individual people. He was a magician with each person that made everything a harmony and made everything cohesive. And he brought unity and stuck me and Keith and me and Ray on ladders to kind of give it a little flow. So it was a wonderful experience, but man, it could be nerve-wracking at times.
I can imagine. Well, I mean, that's one of the things that he and Coach Sherwood had in common, is they were both masterful in their leadership abilities. They were masterful.
Coach Sherwood was quiet.
Yes, but I think
when it was mad, the quiet he was, that's when they feared him. Not OT.
Yeah.
He wasn't quiet.
I know, but in terms of their leadership acumen, their leadership genius, they had that commonality, and I think that's also why they bonded and became such good friends, because they really were on that same level of masterful, what I call masterful leadership. I mean, look what they produced. Look what they produced.
Oh yeah, remember when Coach Tomlin said, when like Coach Sherwood on game day, when he was stressing out, he would go visit with OT
Yeah.
for a while, and OT will calm him down. So they had a great friendship. But hey, I'm gonna ask this to Ray.
Okay.
Jess, you mentioned about discipline. Uh, us, the marching band. Ray, did you ever discipline someone, a friend of yours, that
Yeah.
just you lost your friendship for a day or two, or maybe said, nah?
Well, one time,
You don't have to mention names, by the way.
a certain tuba player was wearing some shoes that were all, oh man, they were nasty and they weren't really white. And that was a big thing with OT. And it really didn't turn out that it made any difference friendship wise. And I think he got a bigger kick out of me bending down there and polishing his shoes. But I remember one time we were in Amarillo and OT pointed down the line at a flag girl. And she was giggling at something somebody was saying in the back. I can't remember what exactly she was doing. And he said, go straighten her out. And so I did. And I did it like a drill sergeant. I mean, I didn't cuss. I was gruff. What are you laughing about? Rawr! And then I asked her out a couple weeks later.
Well, did you make her cry? Did she cry?
Went.
Ray, did she cry?
She might have.
Or did she have an attitude back to you?
No.
No? Okay. What about you, Keith?
Yeah.
I don't remember any having to get on anybody. I mean, you like I said, during the course of the week, you might tell somebody they need to get their stuff together if they planned on participating Friday. Otherwise, there was a replacement ready. And most, like I said, Jesse's right. I mean, the thing I think we all learned and we got from band was dedication and discipline and teamwork. And
Yeah.
everybody knew that time, that's what that was for. I mean, and I think for the most part, 99.99% of people dialed into that every time. And so I don't think there were really any big problem. I mean, yeah, you had the occasional screw up, but as a whole, people took it serious. I mean, and those were some good life lessons.
Yeah.
Being in band at Plainview was a whole different level to other schools. Other schools will be talking about, oh, we're going to make 3 firsts in a row. And you'd look at them like, 3? And, and I kept up with it every year. Well, it'll get a 1, it'll get a 1. Even after I got out of school. And because it was still important to me.
Yeah.
But being in band taught you so much about, there was the musical end of it, the teamwork end of it, the responsibilities, the leadership, all those things made a big difference in our lives. Whether you were a lowly alto sax player or I'm teasing Keith.
That was Flo. I was tenor.
Oh yeah. Oh.
I did alto.
Yeah.
Well said.
But it was really a great time for most people that were in band.
Absolutely. What about you, Jess? Did you have to get on to John or anyone else? I mean,
John was a superstar on his trumpet.
Yeah.
Nobody ever said anything to him. I think the biggest thing was was Cindy Resendez, who also
Yes.
played the trumpet.
Yeah.
She challenged John to the core. They would fight for first and second chair, and that was just a little thing between them, which was good because it made them better. The only thing I ever had to say, I remember two occasions. One, I told somebody, and I can't remember who it was, that next time they show up, their uniform needs to be ironed. It was
Yeah.
you remember Friday nights after we got through, you'd chuck
Yeah.
that thing in the corner or put it in the trunk of your car, or and it would stay there until the next game. So I told somebody next time they showed up, make sure the uniform's ironed, and squared away. And there was one time I remember OOT said, no beards, no mustaches.
Oh yeah.
So, and I wanted to have my mustache, but that was fine. So I was walking down the line doing inspection, and there was a guy that had some hair on his lip. I told him, I said, next Friday, that stuff better be gone. If I can't have a mustache, neither can you.
That's right. You guys inspected us. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys inspected us.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yep.
Yeah.
That-
Yeah, and you mentioned the shoes. They had to be white. They had to be very white.
Yes.
Well, hey, go back to Keith and Jess. What about your siblings? Was they respect or they didn't really give a shit?
Yeah. Well, I mean, all of mine, everybody in my family, there was five of us. We were all in band.
Yeah.
Jane was a drummer, me on, drum major, Martin trumpet, Rosa clarinet, and Gabby was a drummer. But I don't think, except for the one time as a freshman that we got to march with the big band, I remember vaguely seeing my sister with her tritoms for a moment, but I was just so out of breath, just and overwhelmed getting to march with the big band. It was so cool out at Bulldog Stadium. I don't know why we did that. It was some special occasion.
Yeah.
But other than that, I really didn't have anything with. I remember Rosa being in band. Of course,
Yeah.
you couldn't say anything to her. I wasn't about to either. I had to live with her. I love my family. They're all great, and we have a good time. We still talk about stuff like that. Well, me and Rosa and Martin, of course, Gabby passed and Jane passed, and my parents are gone, so it's just us three left. But yeah, band was it was. I'm very glad I got to experience that. I'm glad I got to be a part of it.
Well, good. What about you, Keith? Ginger was a couple years younger than us.
She's 4 years younger. So
Oh, 4.
yeah.
Okay.
So she
Freshman.
yeah. So she did flags, and so not again as the drum majors, our primary focus was the people in the
Yeah.
uniform, and not that the rifles and the flags didn't matter, but that wasn't our focus.
Yeah.
No.
So she was a flag, and so there really never was any need for any interaction there. And then, of course, by the time we were just with the age, we were in different bands in terms of concert bands throughout the thing anyway. So there really wasn't ever any kind of issue as far as I'm aware of. I hope she didn't feel like she was obligated to live up to anything.
Question, guys. So, do y'all feel that your classmates really respected you in those positions? Keith?
I think people respected the positions. I mean, it's one of those things
Yeah.
you don't know. And in high school, for me, it wasn't. I don't want to say it wasn't about having to be respected. I had a job and they had a job, and at the end of the day, they were still my friends. But we were supposed to do our jobs, and I hope that they respected my job.
Right.
Yeah.
What about you, Ray?
Yeah. I just wanted them to respect me to the point where they would, follow me, quote unquote, into battle at marching contests and wherever we went. Because, if we weren't all on the same page, we weren't going to do worth a flip.
What about you, Jess?
I'm sorry, I was reading a text from somebody. What was your question?
No, it's okay. So the question was, do you feel like your classmates respected you or respected you in that position?
Oh yeah, yeah. I never felt that they ever thought anything bad of me or anything like that, because I guess the people I was closest to, we all felt the same way about band. It was something important, whether we were in the same friendship group or in the same social group or whatever. I knew everybody knew me, and they knew when it came time to do the thing that you had to do for band, we were all on the same page. Everybody was like, well, we need to get this done. And if OT griped at me and I griped at somebody, that was just part of it. That was the nature of the beast. You went along with it, you did your job, and you made it work so that we could all come back with a one.
Nice. The opposing drum majors, did you guys ever speak to any opposing drum majors after a game, or maybe just whenever? And so well, it could be a drum major, it could be a band. Which school that you guys feel like, hey, we got to kick through, we got to do the best, I'd shine these guys? Jesse, what was that one school that you really wanted us to just like, boom, this is Plainview?
Oh, well, it depended on what if we were a Division 4 school or a Division 5 school, because we changed a couple of times. I remember Monterey. We were always competing with Monterey.
Yeah.
When we were Division 5, I think it was Permian. But I do remember when we would do I don't know what everybody else called it, but we called it the exchange. We would go walk around the field to meet their drum majors, or they would walk around to meet us, and we would have just a little exchange. And it was kind of cool to do that. I don't know what year it was, guys, that and I don't know if it was Lubbock Coronado or Lubbock Estacado that threw us a party. Do y'all remember that?
We
used to have that band parties, yes.
We had to deal with Lubbock High one time, I remember, and I remember doing one with Coronado.
Okay. Yeah, I remember going to their school afterwards.
Yep.
And they had a party for us. I thought that was fantastic. I don't remember us. Did we ever do one for school?
We did it our senior year, and I've told this story twice on this show. I was a DJ at the Coronado when Coronado came to our, and I don't know how the hell I got to be DJ, but they brought me this album, the Coronado guys, and of course it's all by hairband and metals back when we were going to school, and they played. It was a B-52s. I'm like, huh? I was like, who are these women, the big ass beehives on the album cover? Anyway, I'll play this one song. It was Rock Lobster. And these kids are dead. All of a sudden, they got on the ground with their legs kicking. I'm like, what the hell? Really? I'm like, no, finish it quickly. So that was my introduction to new wave or punk, whatever it was called. But yeah, we used to. I think we had one or two, like Keith mentioned. So So I guess we lost Mr. Ray.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. I don't know if his computer died or I don't know.
Maybe he'll come back.
So were those parties long, or were they just like a couple of hours, or
less than an hour? I thought.
Yeah, I think they might have been around an hour or so. I mean, we had to get back on the bus and come home.
Yeah.
Wow, well that's really cool.
Well,
yeah,
one of the questions I asked when Jeannie Hogue and Fancher West were on, and I said, did there anybody ever throw anything at you guys? And I think Jeannie said she got hit with a couple of tomatoes. I got hit with the hot dog. Did anybody throw anything at you guys from the stands
No,
on the post?
I do remember one time somebody came at one of the band girls. I don't know if it was a flag or what, at Bulldog Stadium, and I ran down there and grabbed my baton,
Yep.
and I was fixing to wear him out, and he looked up, and I don't know what it was, or I don't know what the problem was, but he took off. He took off running, and I never found out. I mean, the girl, she ended up crying, and of course the other girls came to her and all that. I don't know if it was a boyfriend or what, but um, that's the only time that I remember that there was any trouble.
So this person just jumped the fence and ran across to the field, or?
Well, where the band sat, we had a big section to ourselves,
Right.
but it was right at the very, we went from the bottom to all the way to the top, and we were, a couple of sections wide. So that south end stair at the stadium, you could walk right in front of the band members, and then walk all the way to the north end if you wanted to.
Okay.
And so we were kind of, I think, in transition of coming back up into the stands after our performance when that happened. But I didn't go by myself. There was a couple other guys that came with me. But that
Wow.
was that was crazy. That was my multi-purpose. Gosh, I can't even remember.
So you were actually
baton.
going to hit this guy with your baton and possibly bend it?
Well, I had another one. I had a backup.
Did you? Was it Keith? I'm just kidding, Keith.
I had a blue one. It had the blue yarn
Cords.
or
Yep.
cords around it,
Yep.
and I had a red one.
Red one. Yep.
Yeah.
So
What about you, Keith?
I'm sorry, I was gonna just ask, did OT, was he aware of what happened?
I never knew. I mean, it started and it ended as quickly as it started, and then we just kind of went about our business. And I don't think I never heard of anything about it again.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, Keith. What about you, man? Do you ever get hit with anything, or?
I don't remember. I don't think, if I did, I was unaware of it, but I do remember, and I don't remember if it was at San Antonio or at Corpus, that somebody was going to go after one of the twirlers during the parade. And same thing as Jess. I had a nice big, about 4 foot long baton there that would make a pretty decent club.
Yep.
I was headed that way at the same time some of the band parent chaperones were headed that way, and that was the end of that.
So Ray, my question was them, like, one performance, I got hit with a hot dog. Someone threw a hot dog, hit me, and someone threw some tomatoes. I think it was tomatoes to Jenny Hogue.
Yeah.
Did anyone throw any food or some kind of anything?
I probably caught it and ate it, but no, I don't remember anything. Most places we went, we did okay, didn't have any problems. The parades down San Antonio and Corpus were a little loud, as far as people on the streets partying and stuff, but I never had any problem. And I never had to worry about, anybody else, with that. We didn't ever, at least not that I knew of.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't happy when I got hit with a hot dog. I mean, I wanted to climb the bleacher to jump on top of that guy, and he was much older than I was, but I didn't care. I mean, I wasn't cool when he hit me with a damn hat, mustard all over me. Hey guys, let's go high school. Let's talk about high school. So let's talk about some funny stories. I'm gonna start with you, Jess, because I know you got a bunch of it, man. And yeah, so I'm gonna have you and John on the show just us four, and just sit here and just talk for hours about. And then you and I, these guys don't know, Jesse and I hung out together after high school for several years at Midnight Rodeo.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
we got a lot of stories, but that's another time. So let's talk about some high school fun stories or funny stories, Jess.
Huh. Well, let's
On the-
see. I remember one time there was a certain, and I'm not going to mention his name. I know the statute of limitations has already run on this, so it's not a big deal, but I'm not going to embarrass him. But he wanted to ride his motorcycle through the school.
Oh,
And so there was a few people in on it. And I remember him, he actually went into the school, one side of the school, went up the stairs, rode through the stairs, came down he started on the north end, came down on the south end, and out the doors by the library. And with teachers in hot pursuit, man.
was he caught?
No, he was not.
Did
He
I
had a
assume he had a
helmet
helmet
on.
on? He had a
He had
helmet
a
on.
helmet on, so nobody knew his identity. And
Yeah,
so
how could he accomplish that without accomplices? People would have had to hold doors open for him.
yeah,
So
Jess?
I don't know who they were.
Jess?
ain't right about it.
You know what's funny about that is several years later, well, not several, but a few years later, I was in my police car patrolling, and we got a call of somebody breaking in the house or something over by the high school. So we get in a pursuit with him and chase him to the high school, and he goes in the cafeteria doors. So me and another officer are right on his heels, and I just remember running through the cafeteria after this guy, and everybody stopping what they were doing to look at us chase this idiot through the high school. And we ran him through the high school, and he finally came out one end, and there was more officers there, so we were able to get him. But it's just kind of funny how that turned out.
yeah, comes back around. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
What about you, Keith? You got to have some stuff with you and Coy Stare and I don't know who else. So, but you got any funny stories from high school?
Yeah, some. Well, Coy and I were a band in an ag, but I do remember when we're in. I don't remember if we were juniors or seniors, but we were coming to a banquet down here in Lubbock, and Steve Odom was one of the ag teachers, along with Ronnie Tackleman, and something was up. Anyway, we had to take the driver's ed car, and
Huh? Okay.
Steve Odom was driving the car, and one of us was in the front seat because we took up the whole car. But I don't think he realized that there were brake pedals on the passenger side. And so we'd let him get up to speed, and then somebody would step on the brake, and the car would just come almost to a scream. We got to Lubbock or something, and he was talking to Mr. Tackleman about, boy, something's wrong with that car. And nobody got to ride in the front seat on the way home.
Yeah.
I remember there being a little concrete calf statue up on top of the ag building one time, and some things like that. But I do remember the motorcycle through the hall too, though.
Oh,
What year was that? Was that your senior year, Jess?
Oh gosh.
Because I've heard two different instances with
I think
motorcycles
it happened
going
a
through.
couple of times.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, depending on who the rider was.
Hell, I think Jesse, you and John, the first people to take me over to Miss Helen's house way back when. If you guys don't know, Miss Helen was a bootlegger.
I didn't know who Miss Helen was until you brought it up in one of these shows.
Oh yeah, you go to her house and you buy those dollar tall boys or half pint or whatever it was. But Yeah, that's whenever you didn't, someone didn't go to Nazareth for us.
Yeah.
But
Thought you were super straight laced in high school.
who? Me?
Keith, no, I
Oh,
knew you.
Keith.
Oh, no,
Oh,
I didn't drink in high school. I was a straight arrow.
Yeah, me too.
what about in college, Keith?
Pretty much a straight arrow there too. I mean,
Okay.
yeah, I drank a little in college, but not ever. No,
Too excessive.
no.
I didn't either.
Nope.
I was too afraid. I was such a rule follower. I missed out on a lot of fun. That's for damn sure.
Not I. Until I was someone told on me that I drank over the summer and I got threatened kicked off the baseball team. So I didn't drink at all until after the baseball season was over.
Yeah.
And then I had some fun. All right, Ray, come on. What did y'all do? What crazy stuff did you guys do back in your seniors or whatever? What stories did y'all do?
Well, I know when I was a senior, Wes was at WT, and he kept coming home every weekend for games and stuff. Come watch the football team, watch the band, and he'd bring something back first to imbibe in, a little something to drink. And we'd run around town just being nuts, but nothing real serious.
Yeah, because back then it was 18 was drinking age for you guys.
Well, it was until I started college. It changed to 19 about a month after I got to be 18. I graduated, I was 17.
Yeah.
And I couldn't buy anything till till my birthday that July.
I think it was our junior year. We were 17 and they switched it to 19. So our senior year, it was 19. And that, of course, after that, a few years later, it turned to 21. But I think
Yeah, my brother was working at Pinky's when it went to 21 and he was 20. He still got to work.
Yeah.
He couldn't buy anything but the gizzards and livers.
Oh, Lord. Well, Keith and Lisa, I won't mention his name, a classmate of ours. He would, when I go hang out with him, well, we had to go to Pinky's. He had to get his gizzards, his fried gizzards. I'm like, no way.
Oh, gizzards good.
Shit.
Yeah, we used to stop there and get them all the time on the way back from the liquor store.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Gotta have something easy to soak up in alcohol.
Pinky was a one-stop deal. You get your gizzards and livers and get your beer too. So
Forgot about Pinky.
So, Keith, besides OT, what other teachers was a big influence outside of band?
The things, well, in one of the stories you asked, I was going to say before I get there, if Jess remembers this, I remember a game we were playing at Lowry Field, and I swear it was Monterey, but the wind was coming out of the north about 40 or 50 miles an hour. And I remember that we had to have people hold our ladders down, and we could see the shadow from the stadium lights of our hat and our cape. And I remember looking at my shadow and the cape being perpendicular to my body.
Oh,
and my head was turned as far as it would go over, so that stupid hat would stay straight. So do you remember that game?
Yeah.
Oh God, that's the thing I'll never forget. I thought, so it's you and I in that hat. But so going back to your other question, Michael, OT and coach, Willis Giddens, because he started us in band, but the other ones were Ronnie Tackman. I was an ag teacher for a little while after I got out of college, and some of that came from my dad, and then some of it came from Ronnie Tackman. But probably the one that will shock everybody. You remember Sandra Williams? She taught American history. And people just thought if you got her class, it was the kiss of death, that she was just.
Her daughter was in my class.
I learned so much and have such an appreciation for history because of her, and such an appreciation for music because of the band program. And so those are the things that probably have had the most long lasting effect on me from high school, or those two things.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Lisa, but I think she's been mentioned from other classmates that
She has.
I remember of Miss Williams.
Yes.
I assume it's the same one
Yeah.
that she was in big influence to them. What about you, Jess?
Gosh, of course, you know, the band people, OT and JW King, Willis, and Larry and Coach were all very influential in making in being a disciplined person. I mean, you really couldn't get in trouble because you know, you had them to answer to. Um, but as now outside of band, my choir director, you know, Steve Garms, he was a great guy. I spent very short time with him, but it was Danny White in choir, and he was a phenomenal leader, and he reminded me of he was kind of a combination of Burks and OT. Um, you didn't want to disappoint him, and it was a much smaller group, and it was your performance. You know, you had to try out. I was in choral choir my first year, and then after that, I went to a cappella, and that was a lot of work. So Danny was he expected a lot. If you were in a cappella, just like if you know OT, he expected a lot out of you. If you're in that band, you performed. If you're in that choir, you performed. If you're in stage band, you performed. If you were in chamber singers, you performed. Um, Outside of that, I think there's a couple. My English teacher, Miss Kidwell, and Alfred Henderson. He was another English teacher of mine. Uh, they, you performed in their classes. You couldn't get away with anything. I tried, you know, the Cliff Notes type of thing. I tried shortcutting some stuff, and you just couldn't get away with it. So you really had to do your work to get your grade. And I give a lot of a lot of credit to having to do my schoolwork and do it right. There was sometimes I'm just like, God, I can't wait to get out of here. You know, class or you know, school altogether. But everything that was expected of you in band and choir, you kind of stayed in that mindset with your academics. You know, English, math. I was terrible at math. I hated math. But you know, you had to apply yourself. It wasn't as fun as band or choir. You know, all your classes that you had to take outside of band and choir, but you had to apply yourself and stay disciplined. And I got that from being in band, especially band. Choir, yes, but especially band. And that that helped me, I guess, to graduate by the skin of my teeth. But I did
Look at you
graduate.
now.
I'm not going to tell you.
No, I said, but look at you now. Yeah. No, that's,
Oh yes, yeah.
yeah, look at you now.
And you know what's funny is after I got out of school, I got a yearning desire to read, and I would read books.
Yeah.
When I worked, I started with the city in '84, and of course, and I was at the water treatment plant. And when I was working midnight shift there, you were there from 11 at night till 7 in the morning by yourself, and I could read an entire 400-page book in that time, and I did that several times. And so I got this yearning to read and learn. And I thought, well, this is dumb. I could have paid attention at school and really increased my education. But here I am now working, and now I'm wanting to read and get educated. So it's just funny how that worked out.
That's cool. Ray, what about you, my man? Who had a big impact on you besides the band
Bander.
directors?
Well, Miss Williams was was pretty big. The history, all that. I really loved history. I keep trying to teach my daughters because history's not a big deal in school today. I mean, they act like, yeah, last week, that's history. No. But I really, I respected and appreciated all my teachers, but I can't really. I spent so much time in band and stage band and all that, and free time and school time both. That that was the uh biggest thing in my high school career was that I was pretty one-sided there. I wasn't very well balanced, I guess.
Well, Lisa, what's that one question you've been asking? Remember you want to ask these guys, and then we'll go to parting words because we're close to 2 hours. What would you tell your younger self?
Yeah, I love that question. Knowing what you know now and the experiences that you've had to date, if you could go back to, let's say, your senior year of high school, what would you tell your younger self? And I'm going to start with Keith.
I think I would have told myself to learn how to study. I really didn't have to study in high school. I mean, it was, I got out okay. And when I went to tech, it took a little bit to learn how to study because there was, it didn't just come to you. You had to work at it. And I wish I had learned that. But I don't know that I guess I'm pretty boring. I don't know that I'm too terribly different now than I was in high school. So, but doing that and, I wish I'd have learned a lot of Dave Ramsey things in high school that would have benefited me at this point in my life. But
Yeah, absolutely. Well, what about you, Ray?
I was a lot like Keith. Studying was not on my to-do list. I had to write papers occasionally, for class, but for the most part, reading and studying, I was able to get by with A's and B's all through high school and everything without cracking a book, basically. I carried them around just so they'd think I was studying. And I was probably a sophomore at Tech before I figured out I'm gonna have to get after this. And
Yes.
It was like big awakening. And of course, if you wanted to if you had to do a paper at Tech, you had to turn it in typed. We didn't have word processors or computers or anything until I didn't have access to one until I was my last semester. And I would have, I would have invested in a typewriter, learned how to type. But my old crooked pinky on both hands, like my mom said, yeah, typing, you were disabled with that crooked pinky.
A lot of
And
in our generation had that experience of not knowing how to study. Like high school came pretty easy, and I'm in that camp. And Tech, my freshman year at Tech was a rude awakening.
oh yeah.
Because I was also really competitive with myself and the idea of not making a stellar grade. I just couldn't live with myself, but I didn't have the skill set to study. I had no idea what I was doing. I needed so much help, and it was daunting.
Jesse, what about you, my man?
Well, I knew how to study because I had two sisters that knew how to study. I just didn't like studying, so I would try to circumvent that any way that I could. And if I would put the effort into studying, it would have been a lot easier.
Yeah.
But I think in what I would tell my younger self is what I've already told my son, and this is based on knowing what I did while growing up in high school. And I told him, I said, you're going to do dangerous things, which to some people are foolish. Um,
Yeah.
Whether it's foolish or not, they're going to be dangerous. But if you do dangerous things, do them carefully. I did a lot of dangerous things foolishly, and there's several times over where I shouldn't even be here
Yeah.
talking with you. And by the grace of God, there go I. But I did tell that to my son. I said, "You're going to do stupid stuff, but know that what you're about to do uh, is dangerous. But if you do dangerous things carefully, that's how you learn. Because then you know how to calculate, then you know how to take risks. And of course, in my job, there's some things that you don't have any choice, but you've got to go, and it's going to be dangerous." And he finished the firefighter academy, and he's
Oh,
looking to get on with the fire
congratulations.
department. So I told him, I said, "You're going to see some things, and you're gonna be obligated as part of your duty to do some things, do them, discipline, do them, in a calculated manner. Don't just, go gangbusters, because that's where, you could get hurt or lose your life." So
Yeah.
if I'd have known to do it that way, I could have probably been, a lot smarter, maybe better off in some things. But man, I just went with my hair on fire. I didn't care what the outcome was because I didn't think about it. I was dumb about it. So I say that to say this. That's what I'd have told myself, uh, my younger me.
Well said. Well said. Well, let's
Yeah.
guys, well, let's go with our parting words, and we'll go. Jesse, we'll start with you on this one.
Parting words.
Yeah, just
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what,
Nice program.
this has been really generous to my heart. Um, Going back in time, talking with friends again, seeing you guys, Keith and Ray and Wes. Y'all have always been in my thoughts. Whenever I drive by the high school or drive by one of your houses where y'all used to live, I see a lot of that, and it's nice to see you guys again and to talk about old times and the things that I see and feel here in Plainview when I'm by myself, and it's nice to share it again with my friends.
good. Ray?
I felt a lot of the same things. It was such an enormous part of my life, growing up. I even remember when we got to see the band perform, when we were little kids, they would take us to the high school and we could watch the band, do concerts and stuff. That was it was real inspiring, to watch people play instruments and stuff. It was something I hadn't really been exposed to that much. And it was real nice. But with y'all doing this, it really does. It's a real, it's great. It's hard to put into words, as you can tell. It's I know y'all don't get anything for it, but it's really nice that y'all do this for, different aspects of alumni, uh, people that were in band and on football and everything. It's really nice that you do that. It's a great chance to get to visit with guys that you hung out with, and it really does do a heart good, especially I've battled cancer the last, I don't know how long, and it really lifts the spirits to get to do this. So
Well, thank you, and we'll pray for you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. Keith, my man.
Just think about how fortunate we were to have grown up where we did and when we did.
yeah,
And the things that the life lessons that we learned when we didn't realize we were learning them, in terms of, we all got an academic education there, but things that we got, like I said before, like discipline and dedication and teamwork and perseverance and an appreciation for things that would be with us later in life. I doubt, Michael, you're going to be playing any type of serious football or baseball as we continue to age. We can all continue to have an appreciation for music, whether it's choral or instrumental. I had the great fortune of being able to sing in Notre Dame Cathedral in 2011.
Oh, cool.
Music just has been a big part, and that came from growing up where I did, where band and music was such a big thing. And then ag's a big part of our world in that part of the world. So the things that are most important to me are I don't know if they're most important to me because of where I grew up, but I just think that an appreciation for what we had at the time, and now being able to look back and understand there was a lot more to that than our young, immature mind was ready to handle. But it's something that was planted in us that has grown to make us who we are now. And so I think that's a big thing. And I appreciate that. And I appreciate y'all doing this. It's good to see folks. I still see Suzanne Rogers, Wamper, Carl. I see quite a few people around Lubbock. Rose lives here. I never see her, but I know she's here. It's good to see Jess. I mean, it's good to catch up.
Yeah.
One of my dearest friends in the world passed away this last week, and we're not getting any younger. And to appreciate the fact that the truly important things in our life are our friends and our family, and for our class of 83, we went from 5th grade on, we were the first class to go that far, and to still be able to connect with those people through Facebook or whatever, even though we haven't seen them. That's the important thing in life, is everything we do is about relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And to really remember that, and that's where our focus needs to be. It needs to be on our relationships and not the things or anything else. And so I think that's been good from y'all doing this podcast, is that it's let people rekindle relationships, and that's a good thing. So I appreciate that. I thank y'all for doing that.
I thank you, Keith. I appreciate it. It's what's cool about growing on a small town is we get, our school is diversified. I mean, it's not like I live in Houston. You have all these big schools, majority, whites, majority Hispanics, majority African Americans. I mean, we were all, color of God. You know what I mean? So we had the opportunity to to learn everyone's culture, and I really enjoyed that. So, Miss Lisa, you ready to hit the home run? You have to give
Yeah,
us.
it's been really fun listening. Well, first of all, seeing you guys after so many years and to see you again, Ray. Um, one of the things that really jumped out at me as I'm listening to you talk about band and your experience, and especially as drum majors, everything that you went through, that, you know, you were in band and were drum majors at a time. You were part of a legacy organization, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And it hasn't been that way since. And, I really feel like we lived in a magical time, that things shifted so much in even just the few years after all of us were gone, and how fortunate we were. So I really echo all of your thoughts and sentiments, Keith. And I've said it numerous times in these podcasts that we are blessed and really fortunate, but I'm jealous that I was not in band because you were part of something really, really special and unique and wonderful, that you were rewarded with amazing gifts, these little pearls of life lessons that impacted all of you. Everybody that I've talked to that's been in band, from the twirlers to you guys to, with stage band, I've been in awe of what you guys got to experience. It's, I mean, from the outsider looking in, living in your town, growing up there, but not being part of that elite group, I'm just, I'm in awe. I really bow down to all of you and to all those directors that were your leaders. Um, you really have something special to be proud of. And, I was very proud to be cheering you on the sideline. And thank you so much. Michael and I are so blessed. And, the kudos that you've given to this program tonight, I feel it so deep in my heart. And my best buddy here, who has always been a people connector, I jumped on board immediately when he came up with this idea. And for me, it was real important because of what you said, Keith, that life is so short. We've lost so many classmates, all of us in our classes, and we don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. And nothing that you own, possess, have done, accomplished, achieve, none of it matters. At the end of the day, it's the relationships in your life, the connections that you have, the people that touch you and the people that you touch. And so really, we're the lucky ones because we get to be a witness every couple of weeks to your stories and your wisdom, your humor, your experiences, and that we get to, through these conversations, bring those memories alive for all of your classmates and for, our fellow Plainviewans. So, Michael and I get to be witnesses to all this, and so much fun.
We have front row seats, man. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Thank y'all. Thank you so
All
much.
right, guys. Well, thank y'all for being on, and don't be strangers. If you guys want to grab another group, hey, we'd love it. Just come talk to us.
Okay.
All right. Well, good night, guys. Happy holidays to you and your families, and we'll see you soon.
All right. Good to see you guys.
Good night.
Merry
Yes.
Christmas.
Thank you. See you, Lisa.
Bye, Ray.
Take care, Ray.
Take it easy, Flu.
That was pretty sweet. I enjoyed this one. I really enjoyed it.
Me too.
Yeah. It's I knew the guys were up there, directing us, but I didn't know, what went behind the scenes. And some of the things they did well, some things they struggled. I mean, from a simple big hat, that really didn't stay in their head on tightly. So I
I know.
enjoyed it.
I know it. I really, really, really enjoyed it. And it was so nice to see them after all these years. And just, it was, all of it was just very high. The time went by really fast, I felt.
It did. It did.
Yeah.
Well, guys, don't forget, you know, we'll post something, probably just post it in the comments on how to buy this t-shirt and support the band. It's very inexpensive. You can buy there locally. They'll even ship it to you. Of course, I live in Hempstead and they shipped it to me. So it's a cool shirt, which I will probably wear this at my Christmas party, my White Elephant Gift uh, company party. But anyway, Lisa, hey,
Michael, before we end, no, so how did you find out about this fundraiser and the shirt?
I just saw it on Facebook.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Very
like I bought another shirt. It was an ag shirt, and it was for the ag booster. So when I see stuff like that, I'm like, I'm gonna help out. I lived there and I went to school there, and I know it's
That's
important for
wonderful.
them to raise these funds. So just saw it on Facebook, and I like the shirt. It's pretty cool.
I do. I love it. I'm like, I want that
So
to be my Christmas shirt.
well, next week we're gonna have a class of '83, Tommy Alcazar, and what does he do, Lisa?
He is martial arts.
Yeah, kind of like an MMA,
Yeah,
extreme fighting. He has a, I don't know, it's not called.
it's martial arts.
Yeah, I don't know if it's called a dojo, but I mean he's been doing this for many years. And it's a hidden gem there in Plainview that I'm pretty sure not many people know about. These fighters go out and compete professionally. So we're going to learn a lot about that. So a
I know.
little karate or MMA, what the hell it is, out of
I
Plainview, Texas. So
Jiu-jitsu, or I don't know. I don't know anything about that stuff.
something.
Find out next week, though.
Yep. Well, it'll be our next show. So anyway, guys, good night and happy holidays and peace and love. Peace and love.